So Arsenal 5, Crystal Palace 0. And football is back. Kenny's back. And Kenny, I'm just glad you've seen 5 goals, mate, because we haven't scored many goals.
So I mean, you know, we spoke off air, you know, because I did a bit of TNT Sport, and I just meant they were talking about how do you feel if can Arsenal win the league, and I said to TNT Sport, we don't beat Liverpool in a month's time, which I think could be a 6-pointer. Then the title's done. You can't lose. You can't you know, like not beat Liverpool or even lose that game, lose 5 games by that time and win the league. No, it's not happening. So we spoke about it, and also we spoke about the Ivan Toney. Would we get a striker? I said, yeah. What ideal striker will you get? And I said Ivan Toney, because I said that Ivan Toney's, you know, he's made the transition from Championship to the Premiership comfortably, in my opinion. And you know, you want players who can hit the ground running in our league. But it was just, you know, it was nice. It's a nice atmosphere. But I have to admit, the atmosphere for most of the game was flat. There were people around me trying to sing, and people just weren't having it. I think the scars from the last 3 games have, you know, hit the fans. But you know, like a couple of, you know, 5 goals do change things. But let's be honest, the first half wasn't great. We had to rely on 2 great set pieces, and you know, a bit of determination from Gabriel. You know, scored a couple of goals. You know, because if you look at it individually, Saka started sharply but tailed off in that first half. You know, Trossard had a really good chance, and he, you know, kind of snatched it. Then, you know, second half started, and then, you know, David Rayos, I thought his handling was pretty decent until, you know, there was only one aberrate, you know, maybe one, how do I say it? You know, Willie Young moment when he gave the ball away straight to, I think the Schlupp hit the half volley and he had to make a save. But apart from that, his role in the third goal was absolutely brilliant. The way he got, was quality, yeah. He pulled it out of Jesus to Trossard. Excellent goal. I don't know why VAR had to get involved. There was no way, you know, there was any indication, because I was right in line of it. It was well onside. And then, you know, he made some substitutions. I wasn't too enamoured by him. But Martinelli came on. I think Martinelli was an interesting point, because where I was standing, Martinelli was getting pelters from these guys who were saying, "Oh, he's predictable. There's, you know, that you won't see more, you know, coming from Martinelli. What you see is what you get. We don't think this game is going to develop." Then all of a sudden, a couple of assists from our players, 2 goals. I didn't hear him after that, but to be honest, they do have a point that as much as you know, like I said, are critical of both players, Trossard's got a better footballing brain. And, you know, and I think that, you know, it gave us a bit of balance, whilst Martinelli still is like a street player. And that was really great last season and the season before, where defences didn't know how to handle him. But when they know how to handle Gabriel Martinelli, then, you know, that's something that he needs to develop. But as I said before, Crystal Palace is a perfect game, you know, to play when, you know, you're off form. Because let's face it was only Eze. He was unreal, mate. Eze. Yeah. Yeah, like he was just gliding past players if they weren't there. And I suppose if he had his friend from West London, i.e. Alicia, it may have been a bit different. But, you know, they're a team in confidence. You have to... I don't know if you saw the banner in the Crystal Palace scene.
Yeah, there was 3 of them. That big black one with white writing. Then they had another one, a flag with writing on it.
But there was a massive banner. Yeah, there's nothing banner. Like, the words were just poignant about, you know, like, basically they're slagging off their ball and their manager, and they said that, you know, like they're not, you know, meeting their potential, and, you know, basically they say it's time to go. I really do fear for Croydon Roy. I think this is his last game. No. If Croydon Roy is Crystal Palace manager in the next 3 days, I'll be stunned. I think it's time to. I think he's a goner. You know,
Graham Potter was at the stadium.
Well, yeah, Graham Potter's in the stadium. Then it's between Graham Potter and Steve Cooper. But Croydon Roy, that's his last game for Crystal Palace. 100%. 100%.
You know what's funny as well is the fact that every single one of them Palace fans was on the same page, and when they showed that big banner, yeah, that was 5 or 6 rows of people standing.
Yeah, that's it.
It was so good the way they done it. Then they showed a girl and a couple of guys, and they were holding another flag, a big, massive flag with writing on it. Then there was 2 lads holding a scarf and said, "We're here. We will raise the standards," or saying, "Or we're going to raise."
That's exactly what they were saying, and I think that's the situation. it really was a stinking performance. But you know what? That's Crystal Palace problems. That's something that they got to deal with in the London Borough Corner. Right here in Islington, it was a game that we really, 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 could have done with winning, and we won. And we got to be happy with that. The performance, that sort of thing comes later, because let's face it, as much as we're happy with the result, the 5-goal scoreline was a myth. In that Crystal Palace just didn't want to know. The heads went down after, I think, the third goal.
Yeah,
the third goal. Third killed them. And I think that's where we started to relax a bit, started to play a bit of our football. But it's one of those things where the next game is Nottingham Forest. We've got to rest next week. This is where we've got to get our heads back into gear. Nottingham Forest are going to be playing the FA Cup, and then after they play in the FA Cup, they've got a big game against us. So we don't know whether Nottingham Forest are going to rest players or go at the FA Cup. Either way, they're going to be prepared, and then they've got a bit more quality than Crystal Palace. So we've got to be at it. This is where Saliba's got to be at it, because at the end of the day, there's going to be a physical presence. The same with Gabriel as well, and we're going to need a bit more from our front three, because despite the fact we scored 5 goals, let's not forget. The 2 of them came from our defender. Another 2 came from the substitute, when Crystal Palace aside. And obviously we scored a great goal. But our front 3, if you look at the whole base of the game, didn't really click. Jesus.
Odegaard was poor today.
Yeah, but I think what you look at Jesus today, and it wasn't great. It wasn't great from
terrific.
He was getting a lot of pelters from the crowd. He was involved in the goal, and I suppose that is the memorable part of his performance. But his overall performance, it's still got a long way to go. And it's left a lot to be desired. Eddie Nketiah, when he came on again, doesn't convince. Despite whenever you look at those 2 performances, you think we still got about 11 days to go. And Teta says there's no need to get a striker, but sometimes you think Crystal Palace are crap today. They didn't really want it. Their heads went down. Nottingham Forest won't be as crap. Then we've got Liverpool. And after we've got Liverpool, we've got West Ham, who, like I said, they owe their fans a performance after the fact they got knocked out of the FA Cup. And then after West Ham, it's Burnley, who are crap. And then it's Newcastle, again, who you don't know what Newcastle... And Porto as well. So these are the kind of games where the manager's decision not to get a striker is going to be scrutinised, and he's going to heavily rely on the players from last season who got loads of goals for us last season to get him out of a bit of a hole. Because if it goes, south instead of north like we want to go it, then that ugly situation is going to come up. We're going to have podcasts, analysing that, and we don't really want to do it. We want to have Parks and win. But let's face it. Obviously, we want to take one game at a time, but the Liverpool game is really key. We don't win that and we lose, then top 4 has to be our consideration for me, anyway.
Oh, mate, I totally agree. Listen, today, like we said, like you was there, you watched it live. Yeah, there's people giving pelters to players left, right, and centre. The reason for that is it wasn't a great performance.
No, it wasn't.
We scored 3 goals on a counter attack, which is great. Yeah, and we scored 2 off of set pieces. Yeah, they all count. Obviously, of course, they all count. Yeah, but the reason we scored 3 goals on a counter-attack, is because Palace were trying to ease their way back into the game at 2-0, very similar to how they did at the Etihad when they were 2-0 down. They then got a penalty in that game and then went on from there. Yeah, but they obviously got caught 3 times on the counter. Yeah, and you ain't going to get 3 counter-attacks and 3 goals against many teams in this league, mate. Let's be real. Yeah, and let's not play football.
Well, I think if in a sort of perverse way, you look at Liverpool, we're playing under Jurgen Klopp. They're not playing like the pressing game. In terms of like the top CDM. They got a midfield that's getting to know each other. Sloboside is in and out of games. You've got Endo, but what they're doing really well is the pace of the counter attack and ruthless finishing. And I think that's probably going to be our avenue into this season. We know that we're missing Partey. If a player's not playing, then you cannot look. Get your crystal ball out and say, right, we can imagine him not playing. If he's not there, you've got to act as though he's never going to play this season. So with Timber. So maybe what Arsenal need to do is probably see if they can rely on a counter attack. But if you're going to be good in a counter attack, you've got to have better finishing. The front 3, we're going to need more from our front 3. We don't know if it's going to be Trossard, Saka, or Jesus, Saka and Mane. Either way, we need a big improvement. Martinelli scoring 2 goals a day is a step in the right direction. But keep your head up, mate. Make better decisions. You make better decisions. Who knows what's going to happen? But again, you've got to start winning games. You've got to start a winning run. If we start a winning run, then we can have a different conversation and maybe a more positive analysis of our games. But at the moment, we're still in a kind of, let's just say, we're not out of the woods yet. But it's good to win 5-0 against Palace.
Yeah, come on,
albeit a crap Palace.
Penny, man, you've seen how many in the last three?
Well, I've seen 5 goals. As cold. I've got these nice heavy gloves on, but my fingers are still like icicles anyway. So you can tell.
I'll let you go, mate. Get home safe.
No, I'm not complaining about the cold. All I'm trying to say.
Can you do it on a wet and windy, cold day in North London, Kenny?
I don't know, mate. I'll tell you one thing. Yesterday, I'm not boasting, but I went running because I forgot in my t-shirt and shorts because I forgot my bicycle top to go underneath it. So if I can do it, they can do it.
Yeah, damn right. Well said. Get home safely, mate. Love you to bits always, man.
Love you too. All right, love you too. Speak soon.